Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
U.S. men's national team games are done, and let's talk about it, man. So USA did defeat Jamaica 5-2 on aggregate. The first game was a 1-0 win in Jamaica. USA had 6 shots. 3 of them were on target and had 60% of the possession. I think obviously going into a traveling on CONCACAF is not easy, man. So I give props to them, especially when you think about the last time they played in Jamaica, which was a fairly ugly matchup. Which, as a matter of fact, I believe it did end with Sergino Dest getting a red card. And so looking at this game, at the end of the day, I don't give a crap how you win in CONCACAF, whether it's ugly or pretty or not. CONCACAF is not an easy confederation because of how physical it can be. And Jamaica, I mean, like I said, Jamaica's an interesting team because of the fact that they can be hot or cold. You just don't know what you're going to get from Jamaica. But still, nonetheless, I think a very solid win. Get some confidence going into that second leg. Like, there's no pressure going into that second leg. Now you're just going to play your second leg and try to extend the lead with. It's just exactly what happened in the second leg because it was a 4-2 win in St. Louis, Missouri, which great show out over there in St. Louis. So shout out to Musa and all of them over there in St. Louis. The home field was very prevalent over there. And once again, USA had 16 shots, 6 were on target, 68% of the possession. And, you got 4-2 win, which Christian Pulisic scores a goal. Own goal by Deshaun Bernard. Ricardo Pepi gets one in the back of the net. Hell, even Timothy Weah got one in the back of the net, which I'm always happy to see him score goals. On Jamaica's side, Damari Gray did score a goal. I think in the first leg, who scored for the U.S.? Was it Pulisic? I don't think it was Pulisic. It was Ricardo Pepi. That's what it was. But I will say, man, tactically, the one thing I will definitely take away from all this is that it was definitely Berhalter. And I think we can end the discussion now of what was wrong with the U.S. Was it the players? Was it Berhalter? It was 100% Berhalter ball. Berhalter was holding back this team, and we saw it. I already had the idea that this was Greg Berhalter doing that was what caused it. I already knew that because once again, I go back to when BJ Callahan took over as interim coach when Berhalter, when they let Berhalter go the first time, and U.S. looked fluid. They were moving the ball around. They looked great. They looked solid. And then we went back to Berhalter ball, and they went back to being overwhelming. And I think that, yes, it was Berhalter because now you bring in Pochettino, and he's letting the attack be creative. Letting them be more fluid, letting them, trust their instincts in these matches, and we're getting the end results, right? We're getting Christian Pulisic looking like a completely different player, which, I mean, he's always been the best player for the U.S. men's national team, but now looking even more like a complete player, being able to move around the field, not necessarily just staying on the wing. Now he can move into the midfield. I think this is a great, once again, indicative that it was 100% Greg Berhalter that was holding back this team. And I mean, looking at the lineup, it was the 4-2-3-1 formation, which is what Pochettino prefers using. We got to see in the first one the back line of Anthony Robinson, Tim Ream, Mark McKenzie, and Joe Scally. We got Tanner Tessman and Johnny Cardozo being kind of the dual sixes, Weston McKennie kind of playing that 10 role. But like I said, it was a very interchangeable how they did the attack. Yunus Musa was played on the right, Christian Pulisic on the left, and Ricardo Pepi starting. And I think Ricardo Pepi made a really good shot for himself to at least be considered in the conversation. Now, I'll be intrigued about what happens when Balogun comes into the game because that intrigues me more than anything else. The substitutes that came in for this game in the first game was Austin Trusty, Alejandro Zendejas, Gianluca Busio, Malik Tillman, and Brendan Vasquez. Um, I think, look, I like Brendan Vasquez. I mean, I enjoy him when I enjoyed watching him when he played for FC Cincinnati, but I don't know. I just don't know if he's the guy to continue on. The formation for the second game was a little bit more the same. The only difference was that uh, Johnny Cardozo was actually on the bench, and Weston McKennie became the dual six with Tanner Tessman. Christian Pulisic ended up playing that 10 role. Timothy Weah, who had to go one more game serving his suspension, comes in and plays on the wing, and Yunus Musa also partners up on the wing. But aside from that, formation was fairly the same. Lineup was fairly the same. Alejandro Zendejas came off the bench. Brendan Aronson came off the bench. Gianluca Busio, Cade Cowell, and Brandon Vasquez once again. Um, I think all in all, good, right? You move on to the next round, which is the semifinals of the CONCACAF Nations League. You proved all the doubters wrong about the U.S. men's national team, that it wasn't in fact the players, it was in fact Greg Berhalter that held them back. There's a lot of positives to take that from that aspect. I think the also you're intrigued of what else could come from when this team is fully healthy, which obviously Balogun is the name to think about, and of course Sergino Dest, in which I believe Dest will be back in March. It'll be interesting to see how he's used in his tactics, because I think in the attacking side they switch to a back three, which Joe Scally ends up becoming that third center back. I don't know what Pochettino has in mind, because I mean, I think when you talk about fullbacks, Sergino Dest is definitely better than Joe Scally at the moment. Even with being injured, Sergino Dest is a very crucial player for the U.S. men's national team. But I think that it's going to be intriguing on what is all done to prepare, especially in that March call up. But yeah, I am. This was a great follow up, a great response to the last international break. And the reason why I say that is because obviously there was a lot of controversy going back to that friendly in Mexico, and I think that my answer, which I figured was the case, was we're talking about a friendly. This is Nations League, which granted, take it with a grain of salt of how you feel about the Nations League. It means a little bit more because there's a trophy on the line, and I think for an international friendly, yes, it's against Mexico. I get that part, but at the end of the day, you know, if we can afford to, let Christian Pulisic go to an AC Milan, which maybe in the future could help benefit us, if we ever do end up needing Christian Pulisic, and AC Milan might be kind of hesitant of letting him go. This would be kind of one of those times where we can be like, hey, look, we did this for you. You should return the favor. And yeah, like I said, I took that Mexico game with a grain of salt. Panama, like I said, you were supposed to be Panama. Mexico, it just sucks losing to Mexico in general because you don't want to lose to Mexico. But once again, it's a friendly. And I think what we saw from the US in the Nations League against Jamaica, a team that, yes, they in hindsight should be a good nation, especially with all the really good players that they have switched over from England to Jamaica. But I think at the end of the day, man, like I think US should be able to take care of CONCACAF. They should be able to handle their own against CONCACAF. It shouldn't be overwhelming. And once again, the road games is going to be tough, but once again, I can care less how you win on the road in CONCACAF games. I just want you to win. And I think that was the good part about that 1-0 victory. And then when you're at home, you should be going guns a-blazing, which they did in St. Louis. And I think great performance. I think I got a lot more answers now, and I'm even more relieved that Greg Berhalter isn't the coach of the U.S. men's national team anymore, because this solidified that it wasn't the players. I know there was people that were doubting that Berhalter was the problem, that it was probably the players, that we're just not a good soccer nation. Well, guess what? Same roster, different coach, and it's clear a coach makes a huge difference. Mauricio Pochettino is probably one of the more well-suited coaches that the U.S. men's national team has ever had. And we're seeing what this crop of players that is said to be quote unquote the golden generation is capable of doing. And so I'm happy. I can't wait to see more games from the U.S. men's national team because, like I said, I want the hype to be there, especially come 2026. So I'm all for it. I can't wait. I'm happy. U.S. men's national team did what they were supposed to. Once again, beating Jamaica 5-2 on aggregate, 1-0 on the first leg, and 4-2 in the second leg. Solid performance.